what's up, 3-Poi? So this video could probably be a lot better if I waited a month to film it, but I just wanted to try to get the information out there for those who are trying to start poi juggling and want to know a little bit about where to start as far as what are the basic slight variations of the cascade. I know I would have loved to have had this information when I started. I had a conversation with Teddy in New York City last weekend, and he sort of opened my eyes to a couple of the slight variants, so I just wanted to kind of go over those. Maybe walk you through my process of when I first learned the cascade. So the cascade that I ultimately wound up sinking into is the pendulum version, so that looks like this, where my hands are kind of in like a split time kind of thing. One poi is thrown sequentially after the other one. So I thought that this was pretty much the way to do it, and didn't think about the variations, I guess. I guess a lot of other people, Teddy included, have fallen into the version of the cascade where instead of just doing a pendulum back and then throwing, so instead of this pendulum back, throw, pendulum back, throw, instead doing beat, throw, beat, throw. So in between each pendulum, we do one beat to sort of get the poi spinning and going into the air. I think that when I first learned the cascade, I probably did this. In fact, I kind of remember doing it, and a lot of others who I've seen started doing the cascade with poi also do this. And after I sort of settled into the pendulum version, I found it very difficult to relearn this beat version. Side note, I've heard that all of these are referred to as a 4x2, something about sight swap and juggling, which I'm not entirely familiar with, but if you want to just know the terminology as far as the juggling standpoint, I guess these are all 4x2 cascades. So, finally last night, the extra beat one sort of clicked with me, and I noticed something very particular about the characteristics of the pendulum one versus the cascade one, which is exactly this hand path that I was kind of iterating here. Like the pendulum one has this very split time feel, where one hand's coming up while the other one's going back, one hand's coming up while the other one's coming back. So it reminds me of split time. I suppose my hands are literally doing like a tog-op kind of hand path right here. But, split time in the sense that one's being thrown, and the other's being thrown. One's being thrown, and the other's being thrown. However, the one with the extra beat sort of has this, both your hands are coming up at the same time, constantly. So let's see if I can get this, which just clicked last night again, so let's see. You see how my hands are coming up? Every single time with that extra beat. To draw a comparison once more with the original one that I was doing, you see one hand coming up and the other hand coming up back to back versus, with the extra beat, we're doing the hands together. So that's kind of one major thing that really kind of allowed me to settle back into the extra beat one, was noticing that. So, yeah, those are two of the most subtle variations that I think you should first start exploring with your poi cascades. After settling into the pendulum one, I felt like I had to throw higher in order to make room for that extra beat to sneak in there between each one. But people who settled into the extra beat one feel like, well, Teddy felt like he had to throw higher in order to do just the pendulum. So I guess it's just personal preference and as far as what you get comfortable with, but obviously learning all of them is going to benefit you, in the future as far as being able to do, little subtle differences in between your throws, as far as like sneaking, other tricks in there. So the final one that I wanted to go over is the forwards beat. So instead of doing a pendulum throw, and instead of doing an extra reverse beat between each throw, we're now going to do a downwards beat, which looks like that. So we're catching it, letting it pendulum back, but as it pendulums back, we're going to continue that rotation in that direction with a forwards beat back into the pendulum and throw it again. Forwards beat, pendulum, forwards beat, pendulum. And the result is a very similar split time feel, much like the pendulum one that I first got comfortable with. So I'm kind of feeling more comfortable with this than the sort of together time feeling reverse beat cascade. So if you also got comfortable with the pendulum cascade, maybe you'll feel the same way. But just to demonstrate, that's the kind of movements that you'll be going with. Haven't been able to get more than 5 in a row yet. They kind of have this feeling of chops, if you ever juggled with clubs, where you're kind of like slapping it down while juggling. I would recommend for all of these, starting with just 2-poi, throwing one, practicing like that, starting with the other side throwing, as if you had 3-poi, but just with 2. Again, notice that we're doing this back and forth kind of motion, like in a split time kind of feel. One goes down, the other goes down, and one kind of sneaking ahead. If you've ever seen people do like the anti-spin pedals while doing the cascade, that's exactly what we're doing here. We're doing the downwards beat, but instead of keeping the hand in place right in front of us, we're doing that same down beat with a circular hand path, which can result in something that looks pretty cool that I haven't gotten yet. Woo! Which Teddy does in his recent video, which is like a full anti-spin flower split same hand path with the cascade. So something like that. Yeah, so being able to spin the poi forwards and reverse in the midst of the cascade, I'm sure is going to open up a whole bunch of possibilities as far as like just doing caps and flowers while doing your cascade, which is like insane. But I'm sure that's going to be the future. And that's pretty much it. So I just kind of wanted to maybe set some frameworks to all those who are just starting to play with their poi cascades and the poi juggling, throw out some ideas. I know this wasn't the most consistent demonstration, but I'm still there myself. Just learned a lot of these this past weekend. So hope you all had fun with that. Hope it inspired you a little bit to play around with some poi juggling. Enjoy.